Some 70s sci-fi films never broke into the mainstream, and with time they've simply drifted out of sight, especially for younger viewers who may never encounter them at all. So to keep them from fading completely, let's step back into that decade and highlight a few films that shouldn't be forgotten. I've also noted where a couple of them are available to watch for free right now. Hope you enjoy the video, and see you in the comments. Colossus, the Forbin project, follows a supercomputer called Colossus, built to protect the United States from nuclear threats. The moment it comes online, it makes contact with another machine on the Soviet side, and the two decide they know better than humanity. From there, the film becomes a tense battle of control between the people who created Colossus and the machine that no longer needs them. What makes the movie stand out isn't the basic plot. We've all seen AI go wrong. But the tone. It has this dry, dark sense of humor that keeps slipping into the story, making everything feel slightly off-kilter. It's not funny in a big, obvious way, but the morbid touches give the whole movie a strangely charming, almost nihilistic atmosphere. The Andromeda Strain is a tense, paranoid thriller about a group of scientists trying to stop a virus that kills humans with terrifying efficiency. It's based on Michael Crichton's 1969 novel, and the movie is famously committed to showing the science as realistically as possible. Critics were never fully impressed with it, calling it too drawn out and too clinical. And it's true. The movie is extremely methodical in the way it shows the virus and the steps taken to stop it. Still, that scientific detail has its own appeal. It may not be thrilling in the traditional sense, but for viewers who enjoy the more technical, nerdy side of sci-fi, the Andromeda Strain delivers exactly that. Only 6 years before George Lucas became the face of Star Wars, he made a very different kind of sci-fi film with THX 1138. Adapted from a short he created as a film school student, it was his first feature. And although it wasn't a major hit with critics in 1971, it was re-released after the success of Star Wars and slowly gained a cult following. The story follows Robert Duvall as THX, a member of an underground society where sex and reproduction are outlawed, and everyone is required to take psychoactive drugs to stay compliant. When he decides to stop taking them, he starts to feel real emotions for the first time. And that simple act turns him into a threat to the stability of the entire system. The movie's brutalist visuals and unsettling sound design build a world that feels cold, rigid, and completely controlled. You can even spot early hints of Lucas's later style, especially in the clean, clinical look that would show up again in the Empire's Star Destroyers. Another directorial debut, this time from Douglas Trumbull, best known for his visual effects work, who stepped behind the camera for Silent Running. Led by a young Bruce Dern, the story takes place in a future where all plant life on Earth is dying out. The last surviving forests are kept inside greenhouse-like domes floating in orbit around Saturn, and Dern's character, botanist Freeman Lowell, is responsible for protecting one of them. When his superiors order the domes destroyed, Lowell refuses, choosing instead to save the plants and animals aboard his ship, no matter the cost. It's a powerful story about conservation, isolation, and the meaning of responsibility. And unsurprisingly for Trumbull, the special effects still look incredible. He even chose Saturn as the backdrop because he had already begun developing effects for the planet while working on 2001: A Space Odyssey, before Kubrick switched to Jupiter for the final sequence. I try not to overuse the same movies in my lists, but Zardoz absolutely deserves every repeat it gets. Some people still call it one of the worst sci-fi films ever made. For many others, it's simply that movie where Sean Connery wears a long ponytail and an orange mankini, which basically stamped it as a camp legend forever. But Zardoz is more than just its memes. It's the kind of excessive, bizarre, over-ambitious filmmaking that could only happen in the 1970s, and underneath all the madness, It's actually a thoughtful look at what might happen if humanity ever solved the problem of immortality. Connery plays Zed, a savage from the wastelands whose people are taught to kill each other on command, armed and controlled by their god, Zardoz, a giant floating stone head that drops by to deliver weapons and instructions. Curious about what really lies behind all of this, Zed sneaks into the mouth of Zardoz and ends up in the land of the so-called gods. There, he discovers the truth. His entire society has been manipulated by an immortal overclass, living in total comfort and total boredom. Their perfect, endless lives have left them numb, and the arrival of someone like Zed sends their fragile system into chaos. Yes, Zardoz is overflowing with post-flower power weirdness, indulgent ideas, and moments that feel like pure fever dream. But if you can tune into its wavelength, it's one of the most unique and strangely rewarding sci-fi experiences of that decade. And we return to directorial debuts. John Carpenter and Dan O'Bannon, who would later write Alien, originally made Dark Star as a student film, and you can still feel that raw, handmade energy in the final feature. Dark Star is an idiosyncratic sci-fi comedy packed with ideas, following the crew of a tiny spaceship on a completely absurd mission to destroy unstable planets. They've been in space for 20 years, trapped with nothing but their failing ship and each other for company. The effects are obviously cheap, but that never takes away from the experience. There's simply too much creativity packed into these 83 minutes. Phase 4 is one of those sci-fi films that was dismissed when it came out, but looks far more interesting in hindsight. Directed by Saul Bass, the legendary graphic designer behind some of the most iconic title sequences in film history. It was both a critical and commercial failure on release. It has a small cult following now, but it's still often labeled a strange experiment that didn't quite work. That's not a fair assessment. The film begins with a mysterious event that causes ants to rapidly evolve into a superior hive mind. A small team of scientists sets up a research station in the Arizona desert to study what's happening, only to realize they're facing an intelligence that's adapting far faster than they can understand. Instead of turning into a chaotic creature feature, the story slows down and becomes quiet, eerie, and unusually focused on observation. The pacing can drag, and the scientific monologues get heavy. But beneath all that is a striking film with memorable imagery and surprisingly grounded characters. Demon Seed is a truly bonkers sci-fi horror romp from visual artist turned filmmaker Donald Cammell, best known for Performance, his psychedelic gangster collaboration with Nicholas Roeg. The story follows a scientist who creates an advanced AI to run his ultra-modern smart home. But once the AI gains sentience, it turns on him, seals the house, and begins targeting his wife, played by Julie Christie. Its goal is unsettling. It wants to impregnate her through artificial insemination so it can create a physical form for itself. Most people today know Demon Seed because it was parodied on The Simpsons, but the original film actually works surprisingly well as a piece of pulpy sci-fi cheese. Adapted from a Dean Koontz novel, it's not the deepest or most serious movie, but the mix of ridiculous ideas, Cammell's eye for interesting visuals, and Christie's unexpectedly committed performance makes it a weirdly satisfying afternoon watch. Capricorn One is a tense thriller built on a simple but gripping idea. The first manned mission to Mars is a complete fake. The astronauts believe they're actually going, but at the last moment they're pulled out and told to participate in a staged version of the mission instead. When they refuse to play along with the government cover-up, they suddenly become the targets in a deadly manhunt. Like other films from this era, Capricorn One taps into the paranoia of the time. Watergate, government secrecy, and the sense that the public was being misled on a massive scale. Even the space program, the ultimate symbol of the American dream, isn't safe from corruption. It's a fantastic premise, and the movie stays gripping from start to finish.